I actually don't even advise my clients for cheat days or anything like that anymore. I help women figure out a way that they can live all the time so that they don't ever want to stop.
The women that I know will say, I want to work out. I'm going to work out. I'm going to get in the best shape of my life. I'm never eating chocolate or cake or ice cream again. I'm going on a great diet. And then they have a bad day or something triggers them. And they're like, oh my God, waterworks. I need chocolate. I need ice cream. I need cake. And I'm laying on the couch for the next week. Like,
right.
A little bit dramatic, but how would you recommend? Because the thing that I always tell anyone that I'm with that's going through that, I'm like, dude, like, comfort yourself. Don't beat yourself up for backsliding or making an incorrect decision, but get back on the wagon as fast as you can. Honestly, that advice has not worked well for me. I usually get the stink eye. So I would love to hear your thoughts on how to overcome those challenges, because I think it's a different set, and I think you probably have a really good takeaway for that.
Yeah, it is interesting. I say kind of, back up to the beginning of that. And I don't believe anymore. I did for many, many years of kind of being that all or nothing, right? Like I don't love that I follow this strict plan and I am so strict. I actually don't even advise my clients for cheat days or anything like that anymore. I help women figure out a way that they can live all the time so that they don't ever want to stop, right? So you just like create your own plan. A lot of times when you're following, like you said, like, oh, I'm just going to be perfect. I'm going to do everything perfect and I'm going to exercise and that's perfect. And then I'm going to eat all these things and that's exactly perfect. We feel like when we make one little slip, we may as well make it like a complete, tumble and all the way down the hill, right? But I think it is kind of that it's just a practice of kind of catching yourself and realizing that sometimes the things we do, like you had mentioned, the things we do we think are going to make us feel better actually make us feel 100 times worse. So it's paying attention to what's actually going on and just being honest, right? Taking full responsibility and saying, like, looking at right now and just saying, if that being on a really strict diet does not work because it makes you think about cookies and cake and ice cream all day long, then don't do that anymore, right? Like, give yourself, if there's one thing, like give yourself that little thing that you want to enjoy, because a little bit doesn't have to turn into all of it, right? So it's all just about that perspective that we give ourselves, that a lot of people come to me and they're like, well, I don't know, I'm all or nothing. I'm like, really? So like when you start running, you're gonna like run all the miles always? Like you're gonna just start, but you're like then never gonna stop? I don't believe that. I don't think you're all or nothing in everything. It's just we get used to an approach that we've told ourselves is what we do. And we just are in the habit of thinking that that's the only way it can be. And so I always talk with my clients about, we're not allowed to go in the past and talk about what you've done in the past. We're not allowed to think too far into the future because we're not there yet. We're just going to practice being right here.
I love it. I think that is probably the most powerful advice. Because if you look in the past all the time, you're like, well, this is how I did it before. This is how I'm going to do it again. And then you're going to end up with the same results. If you want new results, you have to focus on what you're doing right now. And where do I want to be next week? Where do I want to be next month? Like, okay, does this get me there? I think the other thing is, like you said, eating ice cream is great. I love ice cream. But eating ice cream all the time or binge eating ice cream, I'm going to feel good for 30 seconds and then I'm going to feel horrible for the next 6 hours, day or two, right? So it's like, okay, can I just have a couple bites once or twice a week, enjoy it, put it away? Maybe I used to, before COVID, I would only eat dessert. I love dessert. I would only eat dessert if I was out to eat. If I didn't keep any sugar stuff in the house, like nothing really. And that was a good way to do it. But now it's changed a little bit. But I just buy the really small ice creams. I want to pull out one more tidbit that is just like a takeaway for the women listening. Women who are over 40 and they're looking to get into shape and they haven't been exercising for years. What is one exercise that you would tell them they could do that's not going to beat them up, it's not going to make them super sore, and it's also not going to take more than 10 or 15 minutes a day? What's something they can start doing to start moving the needle a little bit and to start really feeling better about themselves? Because I think getting into momentum.
Totally. Oh my gosh. I love that question, Steve. I'm so glad that you asked, because I would tell every single woman over 30 and definitely over 40 and 100% over 50, anything with resistance. Just pick up any sort of weight and do anything that you can, right? Because I think that what happens, I have a history, I always say my first love is running, because I got in and that's how I started on my exercise journey. As I ran 8 marathons, like in my 20s up until my mid 30s maybe. But I think we're all used to doing lots of cardio. And for women, the one thing that's going to move the needle and is going to help boost your metabolism, help you age, stronger, all of those things, is just any sort of resistance exercise that you can do. There's so many free workouts on YouTube. All of our workouts at Altman Fitness are all on Zoom now. So we've got virtual memberships all over the world, but it's literally starting where you are, giving yourself grace, whether you pick up a couple soup cans and you're doing some bicep curls, or you're doing some squats, or you're able to do a couple push-ups on your knees, right? Start so small that when you're done, you feel amazing. The only goal is that you feel amazing. You don't feel beat up. You don't feel injured. You don't feel exhausted. And you feel like you could do it again tomorrow. And you just start and you keep going. But it's not about saying, I need to start exercising. I should be running 3 miles.